the Biden administration has sanctioned Brazil.
I am not aware of any sanctions with regard to that specific situation.
Nor am I, and that's the problem.
I believe Senator Cardin was here at the top of the hearing. Is that correct? Senator Cardin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me thank all of our witnesses. Secretary Nichols, I want to start with Colombia, if I might. This is one of our longest partnerships in our hemisphere. Senator Hagerty and I co-chair a Land Council task force on Colombia. Senator Blunt had that position before. We have been partners with Colombia through Plan Colombia, Peace Colombia, the implementation of the peace agreements. Colombia still has major challenges in counter-narcotics, the peace accord implementation, Venezuelan migrants and their integration into Colombia, forest conservation, et cetera. So the administration's budget requests in excess of $400 million to further that partnership. Our Appropriations Committee has recommended, as I understand it, $487 million, a robust amount, recognizing the importance of our partnership to continue this progress that's been made in that country. The House Appropriations Committee, as I understand, zeroed out the Colombia budget, withheld all the funds. Can you tell me how much of a priority it is for the United States to continue its partnership with Colombia in the areas I just mentioned?
Colombia is a vital partner across a whole host of areas, whether it's safeguarding the environment, dealing with climate change, obviously the overarching threat of transnational organized crime, promoting respect for human rights. We've worked with Colombia at an unprecedented level of integration for a generation now, since the beginning of Plan Colombia. Our continued cooperation and assistance with Colombia is vital, Senator.
You know, my concern is that it's a robust democracy, and their elections are not predictable, as we've seen in the last 3 elections where they really changed directions in each one of those elections, but it was the will of the people at the ballot that changed the direction of the country. We should not be trying to micromanage the internal politics of Colombia, but rather establish a long-term partnership in the areas that I've mentioned. Do you have a strategy for dealing with the House on this issue?
So our strategy is to explain why the work that we're doing is important and yields benefits for the American people. Our assistance to other countries is not purely an altruistic exercise. We benefit from it. And in the case of Colombia, we benefit from a strong, stable, democratic, orderly Colombia, and we need to work with Colombia's elected leaders to achieve that.
Yeah, I strongly support that. We're going to always disagree with leaders of countries. We know there's different trends within our own hemisphere, but we do know that we need to have partners to deal with the anti-narcotics, counter-narcotics issues that are plaguing our country, and Colombia plays a key role. So I would just urge the administration to be a little bit more vocal in recognizing the importance of that partnership as we go into these negotiations between the House and the Senate. I want to ask you a second question about the OAS legislation that was authored in 2021 by Senator Wicker and myself to establish a parliamentary dimension within the OAS, similar to the OSCE. Can you tell me what steps you have taken to implement that law?
Thank you very much. And the meeting that you and Senator Wicker hosted with Secretary General Almagro, I think was, and a number of permanent representatives of other OAS member states, was important in helping them understand how this will work. They've had a number of discussions around the idea of a greater parliamentary engagement within the Americas. I think it is something that's gaining momentum in the institution. We continue to engage not only with the Secretariat, but with individual member states to talk about the importance and the utility of strengthening our legislative cooperation across the hemisphere.
I think it is gaining momentum, but I think it needs a push from the administration in its participation at OAS. I would just urge you, we recognize at times The administration is not going to be the strongest proponent for congressional involvement, but I would just urge that it is so critically important for the support of OAS to have more active parliamentarian participation. And the administration is at a key point can play a major role in not just seeing momentum, but progress on a parliamentary dimension.
We engage and will continue to do so. We agree absolutely on the importance of this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Shaheen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here. Assistant Secretary Nichols, I want to begin by thanking you and the State Department for your efforts to secure the release of a constituent of mine and her child in New Hampshire last month who